Adultery and Sex Perversion by Bible Facts by Dr. John R. Rice. You can get these at Sword of the Lord. And I do suggest that, if you can, to go ahead and just get them. They're like 50 cents each. Not that bad. Now, adultery, when it comes to adultery, I do agree. If you're dating or you're married, why cheat on somebody? Why not just get divorced or break up with the person? That just makes more sense. I just don't understand that, but it doesn't matter. But let's go ahead and start with what he's going to say. The scarlet sin, adultery. I ask you to turn to the 10 Commandments in Exodus chapter 20, verse 14 there. It says, "Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not commit adultery." In the 10 Commandments, one great statement covers a lot of territory. Of course, don't read the 10th Commandment, where women are property. It says don't cover that neighbor's ass, that neighbor's wife, neighbor's goods, and all that stuff. Thou shalt not commit adultery. I will preach on the scarlet sin, then roads to the scarlet sin, then homosexual perversion, then on to the sin of abortion. The murder of the helpless, unborn children, may God give us hearts to hear. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Hebrews 13:4 says, marriage is honorable and all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Marriage is a very sacred thing. God told Adam, you need a wife. Man ought not to do it all alone. Well, if you're ugly as me, damn. If you look like that, I shouldn't be pointing that because that's pointing to you, but I'm saying myself. If you look like this, you ain't going to be getting married or having a girlfriend or any of that stuff. Trust me. It is not wrong for a man to be hungry. It is wrong for him to steal another food. And the sex-driven men and women need each other. It is normal for marriage, mating, the birth of children, etc. That is not wrong. That is good. I agree with what he's saying about adultery. Because it's just stupid, because you're going to be causing a lot of problems. That could lead to violence. So why not just get married? First off, see if you can work out the marriage. Seek help or whatever. I don't know. I've never been married, so what am I talking about? But anyways, but still, the cheating. Come on. And if you're dating, that especially is how easy it is to say, well, I'm just not interested anymore, and break up. That's just easier. But it's all right. People are what they are. I'm not trying to change anybody. How wicked is this sin? You say, what harm when people agree together? Well, people might agree to get drunk together, but that doesn't make it good, nor normal, nor right. Always there is harm. There is the harm first to your own character, so that you lose your sense of the presence of God and enslave yourself in a habit that is destructive and ruinous. You thus make sure that your own marriage will not be really happy because you cheated. Yeah, it's true. You've lost the sweetness of communion that goes with normal and private sex marriage, where a man trusts his wife and a wife trusts her husband, and nobody else will ever be involved. It's not really a whole lot to add to that, part. But here, adultery deserves the death penalty. Now, that I disagree with. Yeah, I know that Leviticus 20, verse 10, "And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, and adulterer and adulteress shall surely be put to death." The death penalty, yes, like for murder. At least you can say he's consistent. He accepts both the New and Old Testament. He's not going to say, well, that's the Old Testament. A true preacher, a true hardcore Christian isn't going to do that. Because nothing in the New Testament puts away the Old Testament. Sorry. And some things are still repeated. You say, you don't carry out the death penalty now. No, but in those days when God ruled directly over Israel, they had a command that they followed it. They had to put to death one who was known to commit adultery with another man's wife. God said it's an awful sin, worthy of death. Adultery, way to hell. Revelation, God hates this sin. In Revelation 22:15, the Lord said that outside the holy city, outside the heavenly city, are going to be the whoremongers along with the murderers. So adultery is a way to hell. Wow. Be sure your sin will find you out. Eventually you're going to get caught. But the adulterer can be saved. Adultery. Now, roads to the scarlet sin. Is this the... Well, today I speak on those things that lead to the scarlet sin. This is awful sin. It means breaking up of a home. It means often filthy venereal disease. It means that guilt, conscience, and loss of joy. It means shame ahead. Then why do such people fall in such a sin? Because our nature is such that old Satan takes advantage of us. People don't intend to become such sinners, but little by little they are led into sin. There are certain roads that lead to the scarlet sin. I read several scriptures on this matter. 1 Timothy 4:12. Let no man despise thy youth. Be thou an example of the believers in word and conversation, charity and spirit, faith and purity. 1 Timothy 5:1 and 2. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren, the elder women as mothers, the younger as sisters, with all purity. Timothy, treat young women with all purity. I guess he wants to forget all the other things that, he says about it. Movies, sex, violence, and temptation. There are movies are horrible. What's wrong with the movies? There are certain things wrong, and most movies are generally bad. Nearly all there is illicit sex. Nearly always there's violence. Nearly always is playing down of the Christian religion. Obviously, someone's never read the Bible when it comes to violence and sex and rape and murder and torture and slavery. Preaches a fundamental truth of the Bible. So Hollywood movies are not good for Christians. You say there are some good movies, yes, and there is some good food in the garbage can, but I don't want to eat out of the garbage. And you ought not get your mind set on anything that is so colored and tainted as the modern Hollywood movies. Then he goes and talks about Deep Throat, which I can guarantee you he watched it. TV, immoral, lewd. Now note carefully, the TV is not like the movies, in that you are in your own home and you can control the programs. You don't have to sit and watch anything that is wrong. You can flip a switch when wrong is displayed, because besides, some good things are shown on TV. You can't do it without reading everything in print. See, now he's saying, see how he kind of contradicted himself? Now, there's some good things on TV. But in the movies, yeah, sure, there's some good things in the movies, but I wouldn't eat out the garbage because there's some good things in the garbage, but I wouldn't eat out the garbage can. You notice that little contradiction? I mean, it's not really, the thing is, we all contradict ourselves sometimes, though. I mean, so I'm not going to come down hard on this guy, but wow. If you're going to have a television set in your home, you must police it. Don't ever allow it unless something you know is good is showing. If something is bad, you turn it off. The dance, contact, touch, familiarity. Basically, dancing is bad, especially the hugging and all that type. Yeah, don't dance. There's another one of these about dancing, so I'll wait till I get to that. And that is where he's talking about sex perversion. Promiscuous petting. Wait until marriage. Petting, again, touching, caressing. You do that, or giving someone a massage, all that stuff is a sin. Now, when I'm dating, I love to give women a massage, especially on the neck and shoulders, and all this area here. They seem to enjoy it. I don't expect anything in return. I just kind of like giving them massages, and they seem to enjoy it. What's wrong with that? If they enjoy it. Now, if they don't want it, I'm not going to do it. Of course, he's trying to say all that leads to adultery, dancing, and all that stuff. Homosexual sin, sodomy, homosexuals. I speak today on homosexual perversion. That is a sensitive subject, but it is in the Bible, and there ought to be teaching about it. First, let me remind you that all these sex sins are summed up in one command in Exodus 20:14, thou shalt not commit adultery. That term doesn't say fornication, but that is the same sin. It doesn't name sex perversions, but includes them. I now read Leviticus 18:22 through 24. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself with her. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast or defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast and lie down thereunto his confusion. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which cast out before you. I agree with that saying about bestiality, but at that time, a lot of groups, a lot of cultures tend to believe that humans and animals can interbreed. Not all, but a lot of them did. Adultery and homosexual sin and sin with beasts are all included here. I turn to Leviticus 20:10, and the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery, blah, 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 should be put to death. And verse 15, if a man also lie with mankind as he lies with woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Sex perversion, verses 15-16. If a man lie with a beast, blah, 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 the poor animal gets put to death, even though the animal didn't choose it. Here's a clear teaching that adultery and sex perversion are all involved in the same command of God. And the thing is, though, if you're an atheist, if you're not a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew, what reason would you have to be against homosexuality, really? Can you really think of a good reason? I mean, think about it. If it wasn't for Christians or Muslims, it wasn't for your God wanting them dead for, I don't know why, but would you really have anything against them? And why is it that God hates homosexuality? Have you ever asked yourself that? What is it about two people that aren't really bothering anybody else, just living their lives? They just love each other and they show their love towards each other, but they just happen to be of the same gender. What is wrong with that? Who freaking cares? Now, I'll admit, I do not want to see two men or two women kissing in the mall. But I also don't really want to see a man and a woman kissing in the mall. I don't mean a quick kiss. I mean, where they're embracing each other and making out. I mean, I really would rather not see that. If I see it, I'm just going to look another way. I'm not going to stop them. I could care less. But I really would rather not see it. Homosexuals at Sodom brought God's destruction. We all know, most of y'all know the story of Sodom. After the flood, homosexuals turned from civilization to heathen. Wait, let's see. Did we skip a page? No. To heathendom. In Romans 1, we learn a terrible thing. Before the flood, they had great civilizations. They built cities. Of course, there's no evidence of it. They built with metals and smelted the iron ore and copper and gold, and they had precious stones and made musical instruments. They were well-cultivated, civilized people at the time of the flood. And after the flood, Mizraim, son of Ham, got to be the first king of Egypt. Where does it say that? And they were civilized people. But wait a minute, an awful thing happened. The people turned to sin. The scripture tells us about it here in Romans 1, 24 to 28. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause God gave them up until vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burning their lust one toward another, man with man, working that which is unseemly, and receiving themselves that recompense of their error that was met. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to reprobate mind to those things which are not convenient. Okay, now, I'm not an Egyptologist. I'm not. But I read enough books on history to know that Egypt and China both have empires that stretch way before the flood. China has an empire that goes into prehistory. I don't know if Egypt goes that far back, but I know China does. And there are other prehistoric civilizations in the Middle East. So, but none of this do you read. Well, we did this, and this. Oh, a big flood came, wiped us all out. But then we came back and did this, and this. None of that. And I'm not saying that on my own. Obviously, that this, and this is, got from another site. What is it? Athiest Experience. You should check them out too. Because, let's face it, it's good to watch other videos, atheist and pro-Christian videos. That way you learn what theist and pro-Muslim videos. So you learn what other people think, and then you read, go to atheist videos and books and stuff like that. You learn counter arguments and their arguments and all this stuff. It's always good to do that. Abusers of themselves with mankind. Then why people turn to this sin? Why do men turn to sex with men and women with women? Well, first, everyone has some natural sex attraction, some sex drive. The instinct is not wrong, but the perversion of it is. That is why a man ought to restrain himself. A good man does keep himself for his wife and stays pure and godly. Marriage is honorable and all, in the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge, the scripture says. But wait, suppose the man thinks, well, it would be unsafe to go into adultery because the girl might get pregnant and have public disgrace and shame. A man and woman going off somewhere together would be suspect. It would be hard to keep these things private, so a man and another man get out together and have intercourse to satisfy the sex drive. Wow! That is not because they are built that way. That is because they give way to sin and try to get by with sin. Basically, men have sex with each other because they're worried about getting a woman pregnant. That is the same reason men go to animals sometimes. The same reason they go to any kind of harlot girl. Men become homosexuals because their drive is uncontrolled. The truth is, any man can be honorable and live right if he makes up his mind to do it. A man can control himself. They are perverts. Such people are not safe as teachers. I wouldn't want to hire a man as a teacher if he is likely to lead one of the high school girls into immorality and sin. He's not safe. Such a teacher is likely to lead the boys into sex perversion. So he is not a good teacher, and he ought not to be hired. Yeah, that's right. It's not like Christians have never done anything horrible to kids, right? Now, when people are married, they have children. But sex perverts, men with men, women with women, don't have children. There are a lot of married couples that don't have children. Some of them choose not to have children. Some of them just can't have children. I thank God for a great picture in St. Paul, Minneapolis, where they had a great referendum and voted to repeal the law forbidding discrimination against teachers. The homosexuals is going to be repealed in other places. Thank God for that. Christians ought to take a stand. That's probably something a long time ago, because this guy croaked in the 80s. Abortion, murder, the helpless unborn. Now, first off, I personally don't like abortion. I'm kind of against it, except in the case of rape, where the child is going to have some severe deformities and stuff. But I'm not going to tell a woman she can have abortions, because I do not want to pay taxes where I have to take care of that child. And a woman shouldn't have to live in poverty to take care of that child. The child shouldn't have to suffer. You know, there's a lot of good reasons and bad reasons for abortion. Most abortions are for convenience. But I'm not going to tell a woman what she can and cannot do. I do not have that right. If a woman asks for my opinion, then I'll give her my opinion. Psalms 127.3. Lo, children are the heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. Of course, I already did a video about abortion in the Bible. Yeah, God does sanction abortion. Sorry. If a man accuses his wife of cheating, he can take her to the temple and they basically force her to have an abortion, even if she's innocent. Why do you think this says, thy shall swell and all that? The command against murder, Exodus 20:13, thou shalt not kill. And of course the Bible is pretty clear of the ancient Hebrews slaughtering young children and unborn. So, you know, he doesn't have a leg to stand on when it comes to abortion. If you're going to use the Bible as your guide against abortion, you're going to fail. But again, thank you for watching my video for free. To subscribe or like or leave a comment or dislike or whatever you want to do. Thanks.